Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. We're going to dive straight into a market that honestly completely baffles most casual fans out there. We're talking about the both teams to score market, or BTTS. By the end of this, we're going to entirely transform how you approach this. We're talking about taking it from a super frustrating guessing game and turning it into a cold, calculated, and highly profitable system. So let's be real for a second. Are you still just guessing? Look, most bettors approach this completely backwards. You know the drill. They look at a fixture list, spot two high-scoring teams with some big names on the team sheet, smash that BTTS button, and kind of just hope for the best. They're betting on a feeling. And honestly, that right there is exactly why the bookies are constantly winning. It really boils down to a tale of two completely different mindsets. On one side, you have the amateur gambler. This person relies entirely on emotion, guesswork, and frankly, completely outdated full season stats. On the flip side, you have the professional trader. The pro relies on cold, hard data, strictly recent form, and exact mathematical modeling to find an edge. Today, we're going to build your professional blueprint. Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Stop guessing, the data edge. 2. The home and away split. 3. The blended goal threshold. 4. The magic probability formula. 5. Vulnerability and tactical context. And 6. In-play discipline and edge. Section 1. Stop guessing. The data edge. So if you're just starting out, this simple 3/5 rule acts as your absolute perfect first filter to identify high probability matches, and do it quickly. It goes like this. Step 1, you look at the home team's last 5 home games. Step 2, you just make sure at least 3 of those ended with both teams scoring. And then step 3, you repeat that exact same process for the away team's last 5 away games. If they don't pass this simple little test, you just walk away.
But to truly trade like a professional, we've got to dig a little deeper. There are 5 absolutely crucial metrics you need to pull to establish a real edge in the market. We need the average goals scored, average goals conceded, average shots on target, average expected goals, which by the way is incredibly vital, and we'll unpack that in just a second. And finally, the actual percentage of matches where BTTS has hit.
Section 2. The home and away split.
Now, this is where so many people mess up. The crucial point here is what we call the last 10 match rule. This is how you properly split the data. For the home team, you look strictly at their last 10 matches played at home in the league. For the away team, strictly their last 10 away matches in the league. We completely ignore cup games because, let's be honest, the intensity and squad rotation are just totally different. By perfectly splitting home form from away form, we strip out all that noise and find a team's true tactical identity.
Section 3. The blended goal threshold. Okay, before we do the math, we absolutely have to talk about expected goals, or XG. Why? Because actual scorelines can totally lie to you. Think about it. A team might score 3 goals from absolutely terrible, lucky shots and look amazing on paper. Or they might hit the crossbar 4 times, have their star striker literally trip over his own feet, score 0, and look terrible. By using expected goals alongside actual goals, we completely smooth out that wild variance and reveal the underlying truth. Let's put this into practice with an Arsenal versus Chelsea case study. By blending their actual goals and their expected goals, we average Arsenal's home attacking stats right up against Chelsea's away defensive stats. When we run this blended formula, we find that Arsenal projects to score 1.85 goals, and Chelsea projects at 1.22. See, this projection isn't some knee-jerk reaction to a single lucky result. It's a cold, mathematical reflection of their true intent. And that brings us to a massively important number, 1.3, literally the title of today's explainer. This is our strict minimum threshold for a professional trade. Ideally, both teams must project to score at least 1.3 for us to have a really strong statistical lean. In our example, Arsenal is flying high at 1.85. Chelsea's 1.22 is slightly below our ideal 1.3, but it sits above our absolute baseline limit of 1.1. If your math ever projects a team to score, say, 0.8 goals, no way. You walk away immediately. Section 4. The magic probability formula. So how do we turn those projections into an exact percentage? It's actually incredibly simple. By plugging a Poisson-style exponential formula right into Excel, it does something amazing for us. It spits out the exact mathematical chance of a team being completely shut out. Literally, it tells you the exact percentage chance of them scoring 0 goals. And here is the absolute genius part of this trick. Once you have the chance of them scoring 0 goals, you just invert it.
For example, if a team averages 2 goals, the formula tells us there's a 13.5% chance they don't score. Therefore, by flipping it, we discover they have a massive 86.5% chance to score at least once. When you multiply the home team's chance by the away team's chance, boom, you've just calculated the true probability of both teams to score.
Section 5. Vulnerability and tactical context. You see, what most people get completely wrong here is they only look at the star strikers. They see 2 massive names up top and assume it's a lock. But confirming that both defenses are vulnerable, that is the massive green light we need. Take a look at our vulnerability check here. Arsenal's defense concedes 0.9 with an XG against of 1.1. They're solid, sure, but they do allow chances. But Chelsea's away defense, they are conceding 1.6 goals with an XG against of 1.7. That is a massive vulnerability. We have mathematically confirmed both doors are slightly ajar. I really love this saying, and it's absolutely crucial. Numbers are our anchor, but football is played by people. We can never, ever forget that human context has to be layered right over our statistical baseline. The math gets us to the door, but it's the human element that actually opens it. You absolutely must run through this contextual overlay checklist before you risk a single cent. First up, check motivation. Is this a frantic top 4 race or a totally boring mid-table match where both teams are already safe? Next, tactical style. Does a high possession team leave tons of space behind for a transition threat? That clash of styles is absolutely perfect for goals. Finally, personnel. Always check the starting lineups. If a team is missing their star striker, yeah, your projection drops. But if they're missing a key center back, your probability actually goes up. Section 6. In-play discipline and edge. Okay, look at this number, 2.0. This represents even money. And let me tell you, this is exactly where the real edge lives. Let's say your math is absolutely perfect, but the pre-match odds are just too low, maybe 1.65. The bookmaker is offering you literally no value. So what do? Well, you use the patience rule. You wait 15 to 20 minutes into the game. If it stays 0-0, those odds are going to naturally drift right out to 2.0. If you're watching the match and you see an open game with building expected goals, you are now getting incredible value on a math-backed 60% probability. This right here is exactly how you separate yourself from the amateurs. So, the big question, are you ready to stop betting and start investing? Armed with this 1.3 threshold, the XG math, and some absolute ironclad discipline, the choice is totally yours. Are you going to keep guessing, or are you ready to conquer the market like a pro? Start layering in these data-driven strategies, and I promise you, you'll watch your success rate completely transform. Thank you so much for joining me on today's Explainer, and keep learning.